Hello, everybody. Welcome to the AccessPay podcast. I'm Winston Pearson, product manager here at AccessPay, and I'm joined by Karina Seskena from Yapily. Karina, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Winston. I'm really happy to be here. So I'm Karina. I'm in charge of product marketing at Yapily. So what we do is essentially we are an open banking infrastructure provider. So we offer a single API to thousands of banks, allowing companies to access consumer financial data and initiate payments on their behalf.
Thanks, Karina. So we were speaking before we started officially recording, and I think the last time we spoke, it was all around, well, AccessPay were quite new. The partnership with AccessPay and Yapily was quite new. And for those that don't know, AccessPay and Yapily work together through open banking. So Yapily provides AccessPay with our integration to the open banking network. So to all of our banks, we partner with Yapily to get access to them. And I recall we were talking and we were saying, oh, can we do some, whether that's for some references or can we do some marketing together? And I was like, no, when we go live, Karina. So it's nice to finally actually, get something in here which we can publish and share with the world.
Absolutely, likewise. And I was also referencing our conversation internally, and I was like, we have some really good quotes and good mentions from my chat with Winston. And I was like, I was talking with our folks internally. I was like, we just haven't announced it yet. So I'm very excited as well that this is happening.
So no, great. And I think one of the things I mentioned there was we have gone live with our open banking products at AccessPay. I think we've been making a bit of noise around that. And part of that, or the journey towards that, was me constantly badgering you and the team for information and for updates and for what's going on. So I mean, I'd love to know what's been going on at Yapily over the last few months. How have things been progressing with the business?
Oh, absolutely. So we've been very busy. I'm not gonna lie. I think the main focus for us has been really driving that more coverage. So that's something that we hear our customers are asking us, and that's essentially our goal, right? So we want to make sure that we not only cover the breadth, but also the depth of our integrations. So as an infrastructure play and as infrastructure provider, it is really important for us to make sure that we go where there's an opportunity, but also where our clients want us to go. So Europe has been on our roadmap and we're aggressively expanding there. And we're very happy that not only we're adding those new integrations to our technology, but we're also sort of expanding into new, for instance, payment types. So something that we're in some instances, we're also pioneering. So some of the bulk payments, for instance, is something that we see that other players are maybe not offering, but we're very happy that we're kind of taking those features to the market, and our customers are really happy using those.
Yeah, and I think this is where me working with Yapily, from AccessPay's point of view, has been great, because at AccessPay, look, we're exploring what can we do, what's coming in the market, what's happening, and bulk payments is something that we've noticed as well in the open banking space, and we're keen to explore. We validate all of our ideas with our customers and prospects, and they're also keen, and being able to reach out and say, hey Karina, or hey Matt, at Yapily, and really go, what's going on in the bulk payment space and how are the banks behaving, and to know and to be able to get that detail, the expertise of, okay, well, Bank A or NatWest, bulk payments means 15, 20 transactions. Santander, it means 1,500. That's something that would be a big learning curve if we didn't have a partner like yourselves. And I know that I'm glad that you're having that learning curve instead of me, because it means that I can focus on the things that I want to focus on, and not how banks interpret API standards.
Absolutely. And I guess you hit the nail on the head there, right? Like that is essentially our role, right? Look, we're in a really good position. Well, first of all, we are that kind of that middleware, like that middle player, right? So we're removing all that complexity so you don't have to worry about that. We're taking that on us, because imagine you building those integrations in-house too, and wanting to expand to Europe at the same time. Like, there will be a huge undertaking. So we're taking that upon us, and it also, you mentioned that aspect of learning curve, and it is definitely a learning curve, right? But it also feeds into that expertise that we're building, right? So we're not only pride ourselves as offering that reliable and stable infrastructure, something for for you, as you plug in, you can, we want you to completely forget about us, right? So we want you to only just remember about us when you want a kind of additional features to integrate. So that means that we need to make sure that we understand every little detail, and I guess that expertise really sets us apart, and it's something that we're constantly learning. The industry is changing as we speak, right? There's new standards, new regions, new geographies that are coming to market, and it's up for us to make sure that we're staying in front of the game there. So yeah, it is. We're kind of excited to take these different journeys with our clients, and with yourselves included. I think on the cash management aspect, and you guys are very, very well placed to really understand those problems, right? When it comes to corporate banks and corporates and linking them to the banks, right? It's a challenge, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot there. There's a lot that's been wrong for quite some time, and it needs to be brought into the modern world.
Yeah, for sure. And I want to touch on, I'll do it just in a moment if that's okay. I really want to touch on, we are one of many of your clients. And of course, we've come at AccessPay coming out from a very different point of view than a lot. Because one, we're B2B, two, we're going for corporates, with facing off to the banks. Of course, everyone's facing off to the banks in open banking or other ASPSPs when they're connecting. But you did mention a point which I really wanted to stress for anybody watching, for anybody listening, which is why we chose Yapily and why we chose to work with Yapily. And this was a decision that I made. It was put on me. But, I say thankfully, but it was nice to have that responsibility from the powers that be. But the reason that we chose to work with Yapily was because of the expertise. In terms of open banking, we didn't go into this expecting to have a partner who will just take care of everything and we don't have to learn anything. AccessPay are regulated, FCA regulated for AISP and PISP. So we could make these connections ourselves. I was a person that went through to learn the regulation, to understand the regulation and the interpretation of that, as well as the application, the technical application around that. And speaking to Yapily, speaking to another of other vendors, some who are, I'd say I'm good friends with, really what shone through from Yapily was we were on the same wavelength when it came to the interpretation of the regulation, the interpretation of the implementation, but also what we were looking to achieve going forward. You rightly said, Yapily, you've built yourselves to a point where you are the experts, you are our partners in that expertise. And because I know that we're on the same wavelength and how we're thinking and how we interpret all of these rules and regulations, that meant I could not forget, but I could leave you to run with that whilst I focused on delivering the AccessPay product, which is the automation of payments and cash management to our customers, that front end experience to the users, and not have to worry about the plug and play, essentially, all of that connectivity. So I think that was really important. That I just wanted to stress. That's why we did. That's why we wanted to work with a third party provider in yourselves, but more importantly, that's why we chose Yapily to work with.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a couple of points I wanted to mention there. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think with that expertise, and it's very, so when we talk with our clients, like often we what we hear is initially we wanted to build everything in-house, and then we actually sat down around the table and tried to understand what would that entail, and very quickly we came to solution, this is just not going to be scalable, because what that does is essentially removes your focus from what you're there to do, what you're there to build. And Yapily, we don't care. I mean, we want you to do what you're doing the best, what you're there, what you wanted to build initially. We wanted to provide just the best layer for you to build that solution on the top, right? So we wanted you to completely forget about the complexities that comes with that. And trust me, there are many. So we're removing that from you. And one of the things that we hear a lot is when companies start venturing and just figuring out what would open banking do for them, how can they leverage open banking, we usually see that kind of a very rational sort of decision-making process. Okay, we need someone who has that type of connectivity, that type of a coverage, that type of features. Usually it's very sort of a black and white decision-making, sort of binary, yes or no. But when they're starting to, like yourselves, engage with conversations like with Yapily or similar vendors, that's when you're starting to see that difference, right? That's when you start noticing, okay, that's how they interpret that regulation. Can I trust them to sort of go with me on this journey? And
Yeah.
what we're kind of trying to really position ourselves, that infrastructure provider with the expertise that is also your partner. You don't have to worry about staying on top of regulations, staying on top of new standards. We're taking on that. And we're here educating you together with us as we're learning, but you can trust us that we're here to do that, and we're proactively thinking about that. So we're very, very lucky that, you know, we work on both sides. We work with banks and we work with regulators. So if there's any issue that arise with the bank, we get in touch with them directly, and that kind of communication is very transparent, and you can see exactly what's happening from our side.
And I can back that up 100%. You know, we had recently, like I say, we've recently gone live, and we had a bank that weren't behaving as we thought. Why did you behave like that? And we, you know, rather than going straight to the bank and try, we just went straight to you guys, and you know, you guys sent it to the bank, copied us in, and we could see the response, and then we could, you know, start pushing the bank. But why did you do that? Why did you do that? And I think we were both learning, because, you know, there are situations, because of the unique situation and the unique position AccessPay are in, that we're going to ask questions that other people won't ask. So I think that learning together is really productive. You know, it helps massively, and then you can take that forward to some of your other customers. When they eventually get that question, you know the answer, right? You can say, well, it's not us, but here's what the bank have said as to why something behaves in that manner. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think what it really kind of then marries up and just sort of ladders up to that opportunity to, you know, one, put the pressure on the banks, because obviously in the UK it's a regulatory led change. Yeah. So the incentives are misbalanced slightly there, but it also helps us to sort of talk on the other side, you know, the regulators, right? So that voice we're kind of then representing in those conversations. And I'm very excited that together with, you know, with our clients and ourselves, we really are at the cusp of shaping open banking. We're at the cusp of seeing how that very soon will evolve into open finance. And it's very, unfortunately, there is no sort of a guidebook to sort of say, hey, this is how to succeed in the world of open banking, because we're actually shaping it, right? So it's, again, really, really exciting times. And as you said, it all goes back to learning, applying what we learned, and future, and kind of shaping that, and then pushing forward into the unknown. But the unknown is very exciting.
Yeah, it's scary but exciting. I'm glad that you say it's exciting. And so I think on that point there, the unknown for me at AccessPay is really around. Actually, before I jump onto that, let me get your perspective from some of your other customers as well, because I think I'm interested in that perspective as well. I'm sure the viewers are. You are working with AccessPay on a B2B model.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm interested to know. I'm sure you've got plenty of customers who are also B2C. And how do you see those two things evolving at different paces, and what are the challenges that you're experiencing with the different types of customers that you've got?
We don't necessarily kind of separate B2B and B2C.
Yeah.
I guess a client is a client. There are different challenges, and it comes to sort of what banks return us. So on a B2B side, if you're connecting onto corporate or business accounts, there's again different level of complexity there, and we solve those as we come.
Yeah.
On the consumer side, so some of the clients that we're working with, like Money Farm or Bucks, they are a wealth and asset management platform. So essentially, you can buy and manage your assets and investments into their platform. So they're essentially the challenges that we solve on either sides are very, very similar, right? Yeah. It's not on consumer business you would solve completely different challenges. The challenges would always be the same, and they always revolve around the value that actually open banking delivers. Mm-hmm. That is reducing interchange fees, that is better customer journeys, real-time visibility of all your finances in one place, all the kind of a usual use cases that already are seeing that they've been validated. Consumers and banks want the same thing. So consumers and businesses want the same.
Yeah, no, of course, yeah.
And I think the beauty of what open banking has been kind of very centered around customer, right? So customers at the heart of their data, customers at the heart of the ownership of their data. With their consent, you can actually access that data. But customer is also business, right? And they have the same needs, right? They also want to have visibility of all of their accounts and finances in one place. They want to have a quick one button sort of ability to reconcile and raise invoices and match the payment IDs with already paid invoices.
Yeah.
All of that convenience that media is not talking as much. The media is really talking a lot. And industry is talking a lot about the sort of consumer adoption, which is essentially the initial kind of a sort of signal and proxy for open banking is here to stay. And I think is definitely happening. And in the recent months and year, the focus on SMEs and focus on businesses has been really, really strong, especially during COVID. There's definitely a lot of data that has come out that says, half of the businesses have adopted open banking during COVID. And that's amazing. That's that kind of supercharged adoption that COVID has definitely added. So yeah, the challenges are very similar. And they don't really differ much from consumer and business side. For us really the problems are making sure that the banks are doing what they need to do when it comes to whichever consumer they're serving, and it's not always the easiest way.
No, I'm sure. I think that's a good point. Right? At the end of the day, whether it's consumers, whether it's businesses, we're all people. It's people at the end of it, right? At the end of the technology, we're all individuals, and we want the same experience as much as possible in our personal lives and when we go to the office, or actually the office is at home. So even more so, we want the same experience. I think I was caught on camera in most of my other like video sessions where I'm holding my phone up going like, I just want the experience that I've got in my personal life using my app, rather than logging into my online banking, using my card reader and all of that rigmarole that comes with it. So I feel that I see why those challenges would be similar. Yeah.
I think you're touching on a really good point. Like there's been a huge momentum and kind of advancement made on the consumer side of making our products and lives and so much easier, even with the phone, and SMEs and businesses have been a little bit neglected on that for the last recent years. Like there are definitely a lot of businesses that still are going on their mobile online banking, downloading their state, going back and just checking, okay, what is this marrying up? And that's 2021 we're talking about. This shouldn't exist anymore, right? So it's really time, and I think that time is definitely, we're seeing that shift towards like that neglected market, that B2B side, right? That SME aspect particularly. You see the challenger banks really focused on solving particular problems in those spaces, and it's really great for us to integrate with those banks. They're definitely thinking about that value of the customer. They're not thinking about open banking as a threat. They're trying to leverage that as an opportunity. And we see that as a win-win, because the customer, either business or consumer, is benefiting at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I'm seeing that as well. I think before I move on to Europe, because I know it's where you mentioned Europe and your expansion and the connection. So before I move on there, so today AccessPay use Yapily for the UK connections. Now we of course can use Yapily for all connections, but we use Yapily for our UK connections. And our initial go-to-market, we have a payments and we have cash management applications which sit on the AccessPay platform. And we wanted to really open up that cash management application, which was previously reserved to the creme de la creme when it comes to the size of the corporate, the complexity, and also the cost behind that. Because as you'll know, previously, the only way that a corporate could get access to this sort of data is, as you said, either through online banking, but that doesn't really scale when you've got 15 to 20 banks, if you're global. It doesn't scale when you've got multiple ERP systems, back office systems, and you're downloading and you're trying to upload or you're manually keying in. So what we did was we really focused on, okay, well, if we used open banking in the UK, Europe, let's say PSD2 is the overall regulation, but if we use open banking connections in the UK, could we really reduce the cost to customers? Could we really improve the time to value from weeks and months to minutes? We were onboarding a customer the other day and they onboarded within 5 minutes. They had all their accounts for the last 2 years, all the data in there within 5 minutes. I mean, it's crazy. And also the bank don't charge you for it. They can't charge you for it by law. So for the corporate, the value, is huge. They're getting all the benefits that some of our largest enterprise customers have been getting for the last several years, and they're getting that at a fraction of the cost. They're not paying the bank, and they're getting it within minutes, as opposed to months. And so some projects, treasury management systems, can go on years, right, for full implementation. So we focused on the UK, but 100% we're looking to expand those connections, that connectivity that Yapily provide. As I say, I don't want to build these connections ourselves into Europe. So you mentioned that you're trying to get the breadth and the depth of the connections. What do you mean by that? I mean, breadth, I think you mean coverage. What do you mean by the depth of those connections?
Really, really interesting. Really good question. So I think when we talk about the depth, we're talking about the different additional features, everything that you could potentially get from that financial data. We wanted to be able to deliver that back to you in an easy to use format. You can choose either raw format and easy to sort of already process. That's up to you how you want to leverage that. So an example could be payments, for instance. You can use Yapily infrastructure to initiate sort of single payments, or you can use our for bulk payments, for recurring payments, for international payments. You can use refunds functionality, if that's what refunds, reverse payments would be in the open banking terminology. That would be the example of going sort of deep within, for instance, go to Italy. We want to make sure we cover most of the banks, but also all the functionality that we can deliver with those banks. And a good example, Italy and Germany, for instance, was we went to those markets. We realized that the strong customer authentication flows are slightly different than, well, additional options for customer authentication than what we're used to here in the UK. So in European markets, so for instance, Germany, they have an embedded flow or double redirect flow, which would then involve having additional either like a text message to kind of then approve that authentication. And that's something that we can choose not to offer, but that would also mean that those banks would not be possible for you to sort of integrate, initiate payment with. So we want to make sure that we're covering almost like that T-shape, right? We're going across all the markets, covering as much as we can in terms of the relevant banks, but also the features and the whole access to the data that is within those banks. And that's where that, again, the difference between the different standards come in from UK to Berlin, France. It's really up for us to sort of make sure we understand that and we respect those when we go to those markets, and we integrate accordingly.
And that's where that expertise kicks in again, right? Because I'm speaking PSD2 was the regulation, open banking implementation entity, or open banking known in the UK, is the UK interpretation of that with the UK set of API standards. Berlin Group have their own, and when you move even through Germany, not everyone uses Berlin Group, right? They have their own standards, the banks, because in the UK, we are regulated to follow, and with CMA 9, other people have adopted that, where across Europe, it's just the wider regulation that they must follow without the specifics of the APIs. And so, yeah, we see different flows just within the UK alone. Right? If we look at when you're trying to use Chrome, and most people use Chrome, and all of a sudden one bank only uses Internet Explorer, not Edge, Internet Explorer. And you're like, oh yeah, and everyone goes, oh yeah, forgot that we have to use Internet Explorer to log into that bank. But it's the same. And that's just within the same API standards. That's a different flow that you must consider. It's decoupled rather than a coupled flow. And as you extend that across Europe, across the multiple different API standards, as well as interpretations of strong customer authentication, then from a development point of view, as a product manager, there's a lot of unknowns there. Where even if I go, okay, we're going to do this, but we're going to go to Germany and expand into that market, there's so many unknowns which would cause delays in my product development, which, to be honest, I can't have. If I've got a launch date where I'm saying we just want to expand into a new market, my product works. I just need the data flowing in, right? And again, this is where that partnership is ideal, and that expertise, that partnership is really key for expanding into those markets. So yeah, we at AccessPay will definitely be leveraging your European connectivity and capabilities going forward once we've started to grow out the products in the UK as well. Yeah.
Awesome.
So
yeah,
I mean,
go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say that this is great. one of the questions I've got to ask is, you're continuing to develop into Europe. What's next? I've seen a lot of competitors raising a lot of money of yours, and it doesn't concern me. You know, that people, I think people are constantly shifting direction as businesses, but Yapily seem to be staying true to the core. We want to be the integrator. We want to be the, you know, the middle layer between your solution and the banks. So beyond the connections, what's on the horizon?
Excellent question. Let me answer that in parts. So I think when I mentioned that we've been around for almost 4 years or so, which is relatively
Babies, right?
babies.
That's nothing, and you're doing great already.
In summer, so we're not even 4 yet. When you probably look at the different players in the market, you might say, okay, we're a bit late to the game, but I personally think we actually have a bit of an upper hand and advantage, because what it enabled us to do is sort of look at the market and say, okay, where do we want to play? Like, how is this going to end up, right? How is this going to evolve? And where we truly saw our passion, our kind of opportunities at that infrastructure level, right? So that's what we wake up in the morning to build, and that's what we're kind of obsessed about each day. And that there's a lot of challenges and a lot of things to uncover. We want to the application part, building stuff on top of that, that's not for us. That's for you guys to build whatever you want to build on the top. So that's where we are today, and that's what the open banking is today, right? Making sure that you can access that open banking data. When it comes to what's next, so next is open finance, and beyond that is open data. So currently we're going to be the infrastructure provider. Open banking, that's today's reality. It's going to be extended to however the world is going to evolve, and we're going to follow that. Open banking is where we're starting. So it's really important for us to, as that infrastructure play, we want to make sure that we're set ourselves up for success for what's to come. So we're proactively thinking about, how can we solve challenges for different use cases like pensions? How do we solve challenges for some, when they go to the levels of open data, open finance, for someone who has phone contracts or utility bills, mortgages, that's where the future is going. That's where we're going to play a big part at that infra level. So we're very, very excited about that. And on your point of a lot of money flowing into this space, like, it's great to see that kind of validation from the investor community. We're very excited. We're very excited to see that there is definitely a belief in open banking, what it delivers, and players with maybe similar or similar propositions, that there's definitely validation to that, and that just just gives us that additional urge to sort of make sure that we continue our focus, because where we're play and that infrastructure level is somewhere where we seeing a really good product market fit. We've got the validation from yourselves. We have a really good client portfolio at the enterprise level and the startup level. We're attracting a loads of different companies that really want to make sure that they know that open banking is either going to be a core part of their proposition or something that's really, really important. And they want to make sure that they keep forgetting about the complexity that evolves with connecting to that. And that's where we come in.
Definitely. I think it's interesting, we said, not even 4 years old, still babies in the business, like, in terms of the age of a business. But the fact that you've already found product market fit, that's something that a lot of scale up struggle to find, right? You've got a product, you've got people that like it. How do you scale that when you find product market fit? And you've got product market fit already in the current world in open banking, and then it's good that you said open finance is next. And how do you scale? Then it's that, okay, well, how do you continue to scale that? And it's continuing to scale with product market fit. I do find it interesting as a product person speaking to a product marketing individual as well, that you use the term product market fit, and I think scale up as opposed to startup, but you're not even 4 years old, and that's just great, and that's testament to the fact that you've found a niche. Yes, there are other players in the market, but you focused on doing one thing and doing one thing very well, being the integrator, not trying to build applications on top of that, and actually not competing with your own customer base. And that's another interesting angle, isn't it? That you're just doing what you do, you're doing it very well, and they're also looking at the future saying, well, that's how we scale further, and that's how we scale further, because open banking is here, and then we're going to find product market fit with open finance, we're going to find product market fit with open data. So yeah, I mean, really interesting from me. I think this has been a really interesting chat. I've learned a lot, so hopefully, people watching and people listening have learned a lot. I don't know how this is going to record because I didn't have it on gallery view, so it's just your face all the way through, Karina.
Oh,
so I hope you're fine with that. I don't know how it records, but if it is, then they've only seen me for the last 5 minutes. So my webcam and good microphone have gone to waste. Well, the microphone's coming useful.
That's good. I'm pleased with that.
All right. So anything that you want to add before we wrap up, Karina?
No, just maybe one point that we're very happy that the progress that you guys are making and the problems that you're solving, because essentially what personally my job evolves around getting very passionate, excited about the problems our clients solve, so then we can take those and almost internalize and making sure we put ourselves in your shoes and figure out, okay, when you're actually in this particular use case, when you're trying to solve for these particular problems, what is it that you need? And it's we're very happy to sort of see the ambitions that AccessPay has and your expansion plans as well. We're going into Europe. It's going to be a very interesting journey. So we're very, very lucky to have clients like yours that also are very innovative and just obsessed about providing the best value to their clients and leveraging very clever ways to deliver the most value. So very, very exciting time.
I'm glad that you like working with us, Karina. It helps. We like working with you too. So I appreciate that. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Thanks everyone for listening. And we'll see you next time on the AccessPay podcast.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you.